Hey, Pretty Girl Club, welcome to another episode of Comment, Foolery, Exposed. In this episode, we will be talking about this random video called Light-Skinned Mixed Girls Are the Biggest Sluts on Earth. First of all, why do you care who's a slut or not? If you're not trying to be a slut or you're not trying to sleep with sluts, then why do you care who is a slut? That's question number one. Number two, have you ever noticed how we are the standard of living, we're the standard of dating, and also there are random people who are concerned about who we're sleeping with? I've never seen anybody so obsessed with who unattractive women are sleeping with. So this is already proof that our pedestal is in the sky. But let's listen to the content.
Somebody gotta say it. Somebody gotta say it. Light skinned girls are the biggest sluts on planet Earth, okay? Nah, but I was looking at this, I think it was a reel or something that popped up where this girl, she was trying to get into a club in Miami called Club Mona, and she was with her friends, and the club wouldn't let her in because I guess she claims that allegedly they said she was too big and too dark or something like that. And so, I do my investigation. They ripped this club's freaking Google page up. You don't do shit. You don't play with black women. But anywho, so I'm noticing a bunch of, exoticals on the page. They always invite black male rappers to the club it shows. Like it's always some black male rapper at that club performing. And it's a whole bunch of exoticals, these leech ass mixed women who have no identity but to leech off of black men to try to find a one that's stupid enough to date them.
Wait a minute, but I thought that black men were dusty and the black community is dusty. And I thought that black rappers are colorist. So why does anybody care if these slutty mixed girls are dating these colorist men? Aren't those men the bottom of the barrel? And by the way, she's also playing into the stereotype that MLS women are natural social climbers. So she's actually building our pedestal even more because she's saying that that's our type. Our type is somebody rich. Somebody rich who wants to spend all their money on us. We are the standard of hypergamy in their community.
So they can use them for their money. And it's just like, I was looking at this. I think I was looking at this talk show today. Forgot his name, Karamu or something, K. And it was this girl, I guess she was trying to get a DNA test done for this guy she was claiming was her child's father. She was like, yeah, I was sleeping with a lot of people, so I didn't think I would get pregnant. And, me and the guy that I know is my child's father, it was only a one night stand, things like that. And I'm just thinking, only light skinned mixed women can get away with just being sluts.
Okay, so she's exposing her internalized envy right there. She's saying that MLS women have this social power. Basically, she's saying that us MLS women, we are able to have more freedom in our sexual identity that she doesn't feel that she gets to have. And so now she's mad. So it's very similar to a lot of those femcel and incel talking points where they're like, oh, these men are just running through all the women. These alpha males, they're running through all the women. There are 90% of women chasing 10% of men. She's kind of doing the same thing. She's saying, like, only these light skinned women get away with being sluts. So she's implying that any other phenotype, that they don't get that they have to restrict themselves sexually, or, I guess they have to kind of remain pure in order to be desirable in the eyes of men. And notice how male-centered the colorism conversation is online. It's always about who gets to be more desirable in the male gaze, who gets more social status. It's never about social justice. It's always about social status. The society is colorist because I'm dark-skinned and I don't get to be a slut. That has nothing to do with civil rights.
And no one seems to care or judge them. And the guy comes out saying he wants to build a relationship with her, if the baby was his. And I'm thinking to myself, this girl is sitting up here saying, look, I don't want a relationship. I would just prefer for us to focus on co-parenting. This woman is basically admitting that she is a freak, a slut, and so many things. And here goes the black male that knocked her up welcomed her with open arms, trying to be the baby father.
Ah, and this is something that a lot of content creators don't talk about, which is the women who are jealous of present black fathers. You know how a lot of them say that their fathers abandoned them? Another thing that they don't talk about is how sometimes their black fathers abandon them, but those same black fathers might go on to marry a mixed or light skinned woman, and then they will actually raise those children. And I do think some of them get jealous over the women who actually had their father in their life, like their black father in particular, because one of their biggest wounds is that black father wound. And so notice how she's actually talking about that. She's mad because she's like, wait a minute, this light skinned girl said she didn't want a relationship, but this black man is willing to co parent and still wants to build a relationship with her and be present for these children. So I really do think some of them, they have these abandonment wounds and they get mad when they see mixed or light skinned women not getting abandoned by their fathers. And that's something that I've never heard any of them admit.
Which is a good thing. I'm not going to knock it, but it's like their level of slut is always very much overlooked. Like, I really believe that they must be the biggest carriers of STDs because how much they just have sex and fuck all over the place. Like, there's some sluts, and a lot of them have a dark history in the past with molestation or being touched on in some way. This is why they're sluts like this. Like,
Okay, so now she's projecting. She's saying, oh, light skinned women are the biggest carriers of STDs. Yet she has nothing to back that up, no articles, no stats, nothing. And then she says, oh, it's because a lot of them got touched as children. That's not the only way that people respond to being SA'd. Some women, after they get SA'd, some women do not sleep with anyone. Some women stay away from men altogether. So she's literally putting every single MLS woman in this world in this category of being a slut. And it's also giving projection because my question for the women who want to call Exoticals sluts, what body count number do you have to be in order to be a slut? Like, what are you qualifying as a slut? How many men do you have to sleep with? How many times do you have to have sex? Like, what are they even calling a slut? Because this woman, she has no proof. It's like, were you there? Are you in the bedroom with these women? Like, how do you even know whether or not they are a slut? And what are you using to qualify that? Sleeping with rappers? Is that what makes somebody a slut?
these girls have some serious trauma. You get what I'm saying? They have a lot of trauma with being sexually exploited, sexually abused, and then they use people and they know they can get away with their behavior because of their looks. And they know that everyone is just going to overlook it at all times. But it's just like, when is somebody going to call these women out for being sluts?
Good girl syndrome. So she's saying that these MLS women are breaking the rules. You're supposed to be kind of like this nun. You know, you're supposed to be chaste. You're supposed to not sleep with anyone until you're married, or, you know, whatever her rules are in her head. She sounds conservative. So it's like, if you are not conservative, then somebody needs to call you out. You deserve to be socially punished because how dare you enjoy sex outside of whatever the conservative viewpoints are on that. So she has this good girl mindset. The women who break social norms, they should be punished. And she's mad because she feels like women are not being punished.
Like, could you imagine a dark skinned woman coming out with the song WAP that Cardi B came out with? You know what I mean? And make it number one and sing it at the Grammys. You know, where was the criticism, like I said, from black men when it comes to that?
Okay, that's a psychological jackpot right there because now she's admitting what she thinks the punishment is. The punishment is being criticized by black men. So remember, she just said that nobody calls them out for being sluts. And then a couple seconds later, she said, hey, these girls got to make this song and sing it at the Grammys, and black men didn't criticize them. So she's saying you didn't receive your punishment. The punishment is being criticized by men. So once again, she's male centered.
No, because light skin, uh, Hispanic mixed, they get away with being sluts. They are the biggest sluts. And at this point, I'm convinced they must be the biggest carriers of STDs as well because they just have sex with just any and everyone. And they're very arrogant as well. Like, look at these podcast shows, right? With Myron, I know they always want to put the black girl on blast, but when I look at these shows like Fresh and Fit, right? It'd be a table full of girls and it'd be one black woman that they focus on and they want to yell at and scream at. But they're forgetting it's about 10 other women at that table as well that are white or mixed or Hispanic or light skinned. They don't say anything to these women, but they don't realize these women are the biggest sluts. So you got 10 biracial light skinned mixed women at the table that are OnlyFans girls, escorts, but you want to call out the one black girl at the table. You get what I'm saying?
Okay, do you see how high our pedestal is? Because she's implying that we don't receive any criticism from anyone. We don't receive any criticism. We can do what we want. We can be on OnlyFans, and that whatever bad behavior we have is just going to be projected onto unambiguous women, and that we get to just skate by and basically keep our pedestal. If you're an MLS woman, you have this perfect life that's just free of criticism, and you can just do whatever you want, and you can just be a slut, and you get to sing about your wet cootie cat on the Grammys, and it's not fair.
Like, everybody is so focused on black women, they don't realize that the biggest sluts are these other women. They're the biggest fucking sluts. They have sex with everybody. They're the biggest escorts. They're the biggest prostitutes. They are clearly the biggest carriers of STDs as well. Like, you know what I mean? They get away with the most. They get away with the most. Um, and so I don't know. I don't know about this. Like, just like kind of like white women, since they're mixed with white, they got that slut DNA in them because white women are sluts as well. But yeah, like, everyone is always focused on black women, but they are failing to realize these women are big time sluts and they've been getting messed with since they were children. And they're seriously sick and need a lot of freaking help. I'm telling you. All right.
This person said, I would never consider or classify biracial and mixed race people as black, nor do they represent any aspect of black femininity, beauty, or womanhood. Okay, so they just admitted they don't qualify mixed or biracial people as black. So if you have a biracial parent or if you have a mixed race parent, then that means that you have a non black parent, according to this girl's talking point. According to that logic, that means that you have one black parent and one non black parent if one of your parents is mixed or biracial. This person says they love to flex that they are mixed, and yet they never want to be around white people because they know they don't get any attention over there. If it's so great that you're both, why don't you hang out with your other side ever? If the answer is that you're more comfortable around black people, why is that? Why are you so uncomfortable around the race of people you keep trying to use to flex on other women? Is it a flex or not? Okay, so first of all, she says that we love to flex that we are mixed. What does it mean to flex that you are mixed? Because last time I checked, Nigerian women talk about being Nigerian. I see white women talk about being Italian or Irish. So why is it that suddenly if a mixed person talks about their heritage, then they're flexing it? And then she says that mixed people don't get any attention from our non-black side. But how would you know that if you're not mixed? You're not even a mixed person saying that. I don't see how you can hate from outside the club. You can't even get in. So she's using this talking point as a coping mechanism that, oh, mixed people don't get any attention from white people. And we know that that's false. Hollywood proves that. The music industry proves that because who do they seem to prefer to promote? Who does white Hollywood prefer to promote? Mixed women. Who does the white who do white executives at music industries prefer to promote according to your own talking points? It's mixed women. Okay, so that right there is already proof that mixed people do get attention from non-blackness because according to you guys' own talking points, it's easier for mixed women to be accepted in white Hollywood and the white music industry. And then she says, if it's so great, why don't you hang out with your other side ever? I'm sorry, are mixed people supposed to come and report back to you and tell you when we hang out with somebody who's white? Because you just said that you don't like it when people quote unquote flex that they're mixed. So why would mixed people come and announce to you that they hung out with white people or that they hung out with Asian people? A lot of people who are mixed, we don't put our other side on a pedestal. So we don't feel the need to tell everybody that our friends are white or that our friends are Asian. So she's stereotyping right there. And then she says, if your answer is you're more comfortable with black people, why is that? Okay, am I supposed to be uncomfortable with black people? So do you see how you're damned if you do, damned if you don't? If you say, hey, I love my blackness, I'm more comfortable with my blackness, then that's wrong. But if I were to say, hey, I'm uncomfortable around black people, then I'd be racist, colorist, texturist, or featurist. And I'd be called anti-black. And then she said, why are you so uncomfortable around the race of people you keep trying to use to flex on other women? Who said that being part white is a flex, though? This girl is, she's projecting because she's like, oh, you're trying to use your white side to flex on me. Well, I can't flex on you if you don't view whiteness as a flex. If you don't view non-blackness as a flex, then the flex failed. This person says the same way they stay in black women's spaces because they can't compete with non-black women. Okay, so if mixed women can't compete with non-black women, where does that put you on the scale as an unambiguous black woman? She doesn't realize she's dissing herself. She's saying, hey, mixed women, you're not at the top. You're second to last. You're at the second to the bottom because it goes unambiguous women are the lowest. And then because you're mixed with black, you're still right here next to me at the bottom. You're down here at the bottom with me because of your blackness. Your blackness stops you from being able to compete with non-black women. Your blackness is a social handicap just like mine. So shut up, biracial women, because you're halfway handicapped. You're 50% handicapped because you're 50% black. Then she says, I saw one of them on TikTok crying about Sabrina Carpenter and white femininity. So now she's trying to use white women to flex on mixed women. So the same thing that this previous commenter just told mixed women not to do. You've got an unambiguous black woman literally doing that. So they tell us, oh, you can't flex your non-black ancestry, but they will flex non-black women on us all the time. They'll say you can't compete with non-black Latinas. Oh, well, you were crying about Sabrina Carpenter. It's like, sis, I thought you just said that it's bad to try to flex other races on people. This person says, it's also funny how they claim that they are exotic and the most desirable, yet they are not being picked in high numbers. Okay, so she's male-centered. She just exposed herself within one sentence. She's admitting that being picked by a man is the measure of your desirability because she's saying these mixed exotic women, they're not being picked in high numbers. And so therefore you must be undesirable. Okay, but who's the least picked according to the same stats that you're trying to use on mixed women? Who, according to statistics and dating apps and surveys, are the least picked by all races of men? So do you see how she's doing it again? She's dissing herself once again. And then she says they can only compare themselves to black women because they can't compete culturally, socially, and romantically with non-black women. Okay, so you're admitting that you feel like mixed women are still above black women. And then she says, notice how they tend to over-smexualize themselves. So she's saying that apparently Exoticals over-smexualize ourselves, but she's not saying how. And she's not saying what the standard is. Also, a woman like owning her sexuality, because she doesn't define what that even means. So I don't know. I'm guessing that she's talking about making songs like WAP. Cardi B and rappers, female rappers, that's only a small portion of the mixed race population. The majority of us are not rappers. So she's stereotyping. This person says biracial and mixed race women in the US are some of the biggest whores. They are constantly lumped in with the African American female collective. Therefore, I couldn't be surprised why the African American single motherhood rates are high. So she's saying that the single mothers are not black women. It's actually biracial women. So biracial, mixed race women, that's the reason why the single motherhood rates are so high. As if the majority of the black community is biracial. That's got to be one of the most idiotic talking points I've ever heard in my life. The majority of African Americans are not 25% white, 50% white, but she wants to use MLS women as a scapegoat. This person says, Dear Lord Ann, you held no punches. I will say they will do things in the black community that are deplorable, but would never do in their other community. She's not naming what that is, though. What are these deplorable things that the evil mixed race people are doing in the black community? She says, you would never see these women twerking in front of Hasidic men in order to get their rent paid. Well, not in public, that is. Let one of them twerk in front of some Asian dudes at a university. It would not go over well. But lo and behold, they do this in the black community with no pushback. Okay, so apparently dancing is deplorable then? So dancing and twerking is deplorable, but who's the main group of women that dances and twerks? Like, what phenotype comes to mind when you think of twerking? Because I'm definitely not thinking of biracial women. This person says, true, I've always said those CDC reports aren't accurate. So CDC is wrong. Her opinion is right, that it must be the evil exoticals who are making all these STD rates go up. This person says, put Brittany Renner in there too. And then the creator favorited that. Okay, so Brittany Renner's body count, I think, was 26. That's what she said on her Instagram or whatever. Okay, so they have these hidden rules where it's like, okay, if your body count is 26, or if you're an IG model or whatever, if you're kind of sleeping with basketball players and stuff, if you have casual sex at all, then you are a hoe. But what do you ladies think? Let me know in the comment section, and I'll talk to you next time. Stay pretty, ladies.